Hi everyone. So this week I want to begin on starting to map some complex shapes. So we'll start again in orthographic. Say again, keep it simple. Start with a rectangle, and we'll just begin by introducing a few more complex features into this. So what I've actually started doing here is putting the center line. This is in top view, and I think it'll make a little bit more sense when I project this down to the side, but what we're actually going to have is a shape that's sort of tapering off, and we're going to start looking at some washout surfaces here. So there actually will be a concave, and then when we get down lower, they'll begin to just blend in with that top surface. So again, I'll just say about there. Start drawing this from the top view. This kind of shape. I can project that down so that ends about there, and might make them lower in this view as well. So you can sort of see now this shape developing. And now for these shadow areas, just project them down, so it'll be like that. And for these, the curve, the smaller curve on the inside and the large curve on the outside is slightly different. So what we'll do is we'll make that washout line, that washing out surface, kind of follow the top, and then the bottom one will follow closer to the bottom. So you should see they should start to make a you can kind of see the progression, I suppose. And we'll draw that in front view to complete our image. So it's about that thick. Draw the center line in again, and you can see how here the sides are actually going to be a lot lower than the center. So at the back, just something like that. And then those sides are flat, as you can see there. And I'll just have a guess at those being somewhere there. We could project them down, but for the sake of this exercise, I will let them be. So you can sort of see here, these surfaces will start as concave, and then at the top they'll actually start blending into the convex surface at the top there. So I hope that it's kind of making sense. I think you'll get a bit of a better picture once I start drawing this in perspective, but at least you know you've got your guide once you've set it up like this. So to begin this, start by drawing in our rectangle, always an easy point to begin with. Oh, it's getting quite close there, that's okay. Just straighten up those lines, and So there you have, it's quite a relaxed perspective. Hoping that it's not off. And what you want to do is to find that sort of central spine area. Just find the center of that box there, and you can project that up at the back as well. So really what that does is that gives you a kind of central plane. So really we have the two sides and the center, and we can start mapping this on now because we can see the graphics at the sides, we can see graphics at the center. The center one's probably the easiest to start with. I quite like starting there because it's a strong graphic. You can sort of see that it comes from right at the top of the box to right at the front. And we'll say that the curve starts maybe somewhere there. And just like those exercises where you try and join the three dots with a curve, the first one's quite off, the second one's a bit better. You can have a go at sort of drawing your curve in there and join those three dots. Now with the side ones, you can sort of see they're actually a lot lower. They're about half as low as the top of that spine at the back. So we can start off there, and here you can sort of see these curved surfaces, they don't come all the way to the front of the boundary. So we might finish them off a bit earlier, say here. So we've almost got all the information we need. We just want to put in that third point for them. So I'm just gonna kind of have a estimate start at maybe there. I quite like freehanding the near side, and then you can project that over. And so that's if we push that forward, that's kind of where that curve point is at the front. So we can draw that in. And then if we project that over to the back, so what I've done is I've just down, across, up, and where they intersect, again, this is like taking a slice out of your drawing, where they intersect the back, and you can project these points over as well. That's easy, where they intersect with the bottom, and project that point over at the back as well. And there you have it where it intersects at the back. And again, it's just like joining them. I think that one's a little bit low. I'll just pull that up a little bit. So what we've actually drawn in now is that line, the spine, and then again that line but on the back face there. And now what your task will be is to actually, you can sort of see they join with a curve, so you can join them up, and likewise with this one. And then also these join at the front there with a curve, so you can join those up, and then likewise at the back. So that's actually, you can sort of see it's kind of maybe something like a hard-edged computer mouse or something that we've drawn there. And all we need to do now is plot in these little concave surfaces and wash them out. Again, I always like to start at the front, so just kind of might make it a little bit bigger, just guesstimate at the front. That'll be something like this. And now to bring it over to the back, you can actually use that triangulation method that we tried with the mirroring graphics, and say you want this point, you probably want the center point, you probably want that edge point there. So to get those, just starting from the center line, go across, and then to the back, and then back to the center line, and where those cross, so that there will be the end point. This one's going to be very extreme angle, but that's okay. So that is that point there. And we might want the center just to sort of see where it will come to. So and where they cross. So we can now draw in again that curve on the back. So that is that, the back there. And now, as we drew these in there, we can just put these in here as well. So again, this lower one will follow closely what the outside surface is doing, so you can try and put that in like that. And then this one will actually follow closely what the inside surface is doing. And it's a lot longer distance, so try and draw from your elbow with that one. And you actually see when we put them at the back, so again, the closer points following what the inside surface is doing, you actually see if you're trying to meet those two at the back there, you'll actually cover up a little bit of that cutaway. And that's okay, just because the way we're looking at it, you're not going to see that full cutaway area. And then that back one there. There you go. And I'm keeping my line work. I mean, it's quite heavy. You wouldn't be going too far if you used an underlay for this. In fact, which I might do. So we might, from this point, I'll outline just to show you what we've drawn, and then I'll use an underlay and we can redraw and make it neater. So you'll see here that curve is actually in front of that cutout surface. There's that back surface there. And the front. So I'll just outline it, and we can use that. You can sort of start to see now what this is actually doing. Okay, so what I might do from here is I might actually use this as an underlay. And that's the beauty, I suppose, of working on proper sketch paper, is that you can see straight through it. I'm hoping you can see that in the video. So from here, I'll just start by kind of redrawing some of those lines that I'll need for the finished drawing. I was a bit off. Maybe I'll start with the center line. That's a lot better. Just kind of, again, build that framework. Then the back. And hopefully that makes it a little bit easier to guidance, which it has. And I'll do the same for these here. And then we can start to that one's a little bit off. That's okay. Now we can actually start to render this in. So what I'm going to do is I'll just draw it in. I'm actually thinking for this one I'll do the light source coming from the back. So that's my light there, and that will actually mean that that back area is a bit more, a bit brighter, a bit more lit up than the front. And for that, I'll start with my 0. So I'll actually start by just applying my 0 and working with the curves that were drawn in. And if you work quickly, you shouldn't get any, not too quick that you get streaks, but if you work quick enough that you shouldn't get too many kind of patchy areas. I'll just remove that so it doesn't interfere with our shading. And what we'll actually do here is, so if that's the brightest surface and that's a 0, this area here will make a 2. So I'll just start by again, if you work within the curves, they should allow you a little bit of breathing room so that you don't feel like you have to shade the whole surface in one go. And with this, I might actually just start again. Just keep it steady, and you should be able to get away without too many streaks. And then here, it's getting a bit easier because it's a small area. So you can sort of see I'm moving my marker with the curvature of the surface. So it's your 0, your 2, and over on this, because the face is the furthest away, we'll use our number 4 marker. So I'll just outline that area, that bottom, and then shade everything in between. So that's the darkest corner there. And now what you want to do is you want to actually show that, you know, this isn't a flat surface. So again, we're moving into slightly more complex forms. We'll start with the one that's first away, and if you think about this area being a bit darker because it's actually, you know, that concaveness, you want to show that that's shadowing a little bit that surface. And we want to do the same here, but with the number 2. So if you think about kind of working from there maybe to the midway point where it starts maybe getting into light again. So if you think of that area there kind of being more in the shadow, I might actually get my 0 here as well and just blend it out a little bit so it's not such a severe kind of transition. And I'll do it here as well because like right on this spine, you can see it's coming to a point, so right on that spine it will actually be a little bit darker. And same with this, just a little bit there. And again, I might just darken that up. So there you have it. You've got your lightest points in these kind of surfaces that are facing right towards the light, where there's a little bit of shadow in that curve, gets a little bit darker, and then as it reaches around, goes around that spine in the center, it's a bit darker, going a bit lighter again, a little bit darker on that concave surface, becoming a bit lighter on that peak there, and then darker on this surface, and then you've got your darkest sort of in shadow surface at the back there. I'm hoping that makes sense. And now again, just to illustrate where we would put the thicker line work with this. So obviously at the back there, you'll have your darker line. Bring that design out from the page. Here you actually have a darker line because this face is blocking that back surface, so it actually comes out from it, which I'm hoping you can see. And then just outline the object. And where you won't have darker lines here is actually these, because they are just part of the surface, they're just a crease in the surface. So we don't actually need to darken those up. The shading will do the job of that for us. So there it is, some sort of line, paw, mouse type form, but I'm hoping that you can sort of see how we went from that and mapped it out. So from our orthographic views, planned it in perspective, and then went through to redrawing that neatly and rendering it up and putting in the correct line weight.